we are, Drupa. Welcome. We decided to have this tour on the last day of Drupa so that you can breathe, because the other 10 days of Drupa you can't move, can't hear yourself think. It's so crowded. So I think this is an opportune moment. So you might want to have a quick look around. We're standing in the middle of the square. You can see various machines around us. We have 3,000 square meters or 30,000 square feet here. 4 nanographic presses, 1 metallography press, all sorts of displays. I'll show you around. I'll give you a quick tour. I'm going to start with the quality wall. This is where we take visitors to explain to them why our quality is fundamentally superior to any other digital printing technology. We call this quality wall the quality equation. What's the quality equation? You take the sharpest dot, you take the widest color gamut, you print on any paper, that gives you the highest quality. We'll sneak in here beside these people. So do you see this first display? There's a video that explains how the dots are created and how the image is transferred. That creates the dot. Then below, you can see we compare nanographic dots to inkjet dots. Next, we have a description of the widest color gamut. And what we say is, you see these logos? Most corporate colors are chosen to be high saturation colors, and CMYK offset can't cover them. With Landa nanographic printing, 4-color printing, CMYK covers 84% of them, and 7-color CMYK covers 96% of all the Pantone colors, which means for all practical purposes, you cover all spot colors, and therefore special colors, spot colors will become a thing of the past, simply go away. We have print samples here of 9 different papers that range from glossy chrome coat paper to blotting paper, various coated and uncoated papers, even tissue paper. See this? And virtually they all have the same optical characteristics, the same dot size, the same images. And what that tells you is that it doesn't matter what you print on, the only thing that changes is the roughness, that is the gloss, and the color of the paper, of course. Over here we have a wall full of samples. People can have a very close look. They can get in with their loops and they can see from the slightest details, the sharpest details, to the deepest of colors. Look at this backlit image. You just cannot get these kind of images with offset at the same time that it's very deep, pure, rich color hues. You can also get very, very high edge sharpness, very high resolution on the text. These are just unbelievable. So quality speaks for itself. We don't need a lot of words. Over here, follow me, we have what we call our speed wall. What this wall shows is the relative performance, relative speed of the various products. In yellow, we have all the existing commercial quality digital presses, and they all range from about 1,000 B1 sheets or equivalent to about 4,500 B1 sheets. All of the existing digital commercial quality presses are in this range. Landa nanographic presses start at 13,000 sheets per hour for the sheet fed presses. That's B1 sheets per hour. The web presses produce the equivalent of 17,000 B1 images per hour. Twin engine press, web press, the W10P for publishing runs at the equivalent of 34,000 sheets per hour. That means that it produces 2 million magazine quality magazine pages in a single 8-hour shift. So these presses are factors faster, up to 24 times faster than any other commercial quality digital printing press in the marketplace. We've caught an S10 demo just starting.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to introduce the Landa S10 nanographic printing press. Now, we're all here together at Drupa 2016.
Have a look. You got to see the printing of this output. It's unbelievable. This one's 6,500 sheets per hour. Fantastic quality. This is the cockpit. It blows people away. We'll show you what the cockpit can do in a very quick snippet.
The Landa Operator Cockpit is a 21st century command and control center that is a press operator's dream come true. It provides fingertip access to the entire press, touchscreen job management, and user-friendly interactive machine controls. Live video feeds from 10 press locations, vital signs indicators, ergonomic convenience, adjustable inspection table with backlit registration, troubleshooting indicators, instant replay problem analysis, remote support interface, even a personal bulletin board.
My favorite part of the cockpit is this customized personal bulletin board for each operator. When the operator logs on with his pass, his personal bulletin board comes up, and you can see this is one of my fans' personal bulletin board with me right there. They can move the images around, they can put in their dogs, their families and all that, or they could toggle it to some real useful function when the boss comes by. But over here you have the 8 print bars all the way to here. And what they do, they eject ink onto this blanket conveyor. This is the bottom of the conveyor. You see it's like a membrane, and this is where all the ink is ejected and the image is accumulated. From this point on, it gets dried, goes around the corner, gets transferred to the paper. Immediately on transfer, we have the AQM. This is the scanner that measures every single pixel on the page, can detect the slightest defects and faults, closes the loop to make sure that every page is sellable at thousands of times faster than any operator could ever inspect a sheet. And I'd like to show you what we don't show most customers, but since you're here, I will show you the inside of the machine. Come with me. This door leads to the engine room. The operator comes down here, can sit conveniently on the bench, can slide along, control all the mechanics on one side, all the hydraulics and controls on the other side. Wonderfully ergonomically designed. The operator really has an easy task of maintaining the machine. And we'll just take you around to the back to show you how the print bars are maintained. Over here you see this is an 8-engine machine, but right now there are 7 colors, so it's CMYK OBG. We also have white, so there's another station here that's blank for white. These, for maintenance, they slide out automatically. Really a dream to maintain, and that's more or less the inside of the machine. So here we have the S10P. This is like the S10, but it's a perfecting press. So it prints on both sides. Now this one you can see is for delivery to elanders, but the important thing about this press is it not only prints on both sides, but we're demonstrating this press also running at 13,000 sheets per hour, which is mind-blowing. So now I think what we'll do is we'll go and have a look at the W10. We're in the middle of a demo, so please follow me.
What's our secret? Since Landa nano ink images are transferred to the surface of the substrate and do not penetrate into the substrate, they efficiently absorb light, yielding high optical density, sharp edges, and brilliant colors.
Our flexible packaging press has a user interface that is like the cockpit in terms of functionality, but it's quite different because of the nature of the press. You don't have to pull sheets out, you don't need an inspection table. So we've made a compact version with all the same touchscreens and functionality that we have on the cockpit. These are the rolls that we produce during the show, and then we hang them up, we give away samples, etc. And if you look at the top, that banner is BOPP, flexible packaging material. Since we have a repeat of almost 11 meters, we do one continuous image for the whole length of the banner, and then we hang the samples up over here so that we can show the customers the actual finished goods. You can see how creased they are because customers come up to them and they do this. They try and see if the stuff comes off. Amazing quality flexible packaging, 1 meter wide, 200 meters a minute, something the industry is desperate for and nobody had, until now, nobody had a solution for. Over here, we have what we call the ink farm. And from here we show our customers our cartoon that describes the whole story. It's starting right now, so please have a look.
Welcome to my nano farm. Here we grow organic print. Let me show you how we do it. Now the secret to produce an environmentally friendly print is our new Landa Nanographic printing press. Landa printed papers are de-inkable, meeting the highest industry standards, and are readily recycled back into useful paper products.
I think the cartoon was great, right? You see, these are the 8 color containers of the ink. We have one that's open so people can have a look. We've removed about 1/3 of the ink from this container. If you have a look here, see there's a bag inside the box. The bag contains ink concentrate. It's in a cardboard box. The cardboard is all recycled cardboard. And then the bags get recycled, get disposed of together with beverage bags. Clara is our nano ink cow. It's our mascot here. And over here on the right, we have Nano-Metallography. Let me start with this beautiful statue. Her message is very simple. You see, she's like the goddess of justice. She's standing here with a balance. And on the balance, you have 2 rolls. One is a brand new roll of foil, unused. And next to it is a used roll of foil after foiling. So you see, in this case, a lot of the metal was removed. That's unusual for foiling. You usually have a smaller amount of metal. In this case, a lot of metal was removed. And what does this tell you? They weigh the same. They weigh the same. That means that the amount of metal that was removed is negligible, an insignificant amount. What that says is that all of this cost of foil is wasted. So much waste is produced, come to this end, and I'll show you what the consequence of that is. This is what's left when the waste is all done. 3 tons, 3,000 kilograms of waste. All of that waste is replaced by 1 kilogram of Landa Nanoflake. That enables us to offer Landa Nanoflake metallization, nanometallography as we call it, for half the cost of foil printing. And that will open up a lot of markets. You want to see how it works? Let me show you. If we come around to this side, so this is how it works. You have a printing station, and it doesn't matter what, is it flexo, offset, gravure, it doesn't matter what. It creates what we call a trigger image. You see on the paper there's this shiny image. It can be even submicron, it can be very, very thin, a trigger image. It's not sticky, it's not an adhesive like cold foil. It just has a certain physiochemical relationship to metal. It comes in trigger image only, it comes out metal. Then each station, these are just conventional stations, in this case flexo, they add the additional colors, and that's how the labels are produced until you end up with the final product, these beautiful, beautiful metallized labels with 0 waste. And let me show you what the result is. These are all metallized goods, metallized products, and you can see the wine bottles, for example, were printed with screen printing, so they look embossed. This embossing effect is just because of the thickness of the ink image. If it's a thick image, it gets metallized thick. If it's a thin image, as with flexo, it gets metallized thin. But because it's nanoflakes that are transferring to the trigger image, they exactly replicate the surface topography of the image. So if it's a shiny trigger image, you get a glossy metal. If it's a matte trigger image, you get a matte metal. If it's an orange peel effect, you get an orange peel metal. And the resolution of the edges is exactly the resolution of the printing. This is probably the best place for me to say goodbye. It's been delightful hosting you. I'm so glad I was able to do it. I really look forward to the next opportunity we have to meet. Thank you very much.